arpeggio. The serpents could of course create that illusion long enough for the person to be lulled into the trap. They eventually become so laden with negative spirits they are deluded and confused. The Masons, Rosicrucian, and Ishmaeli assassins are a primary example of organizations that have tricked the spiritual arm of men with this type of nonsense. The most they could produce was a debased bacchanalia. I encourage women to keep yourselves on guard. Just to show you how much the serpent is suggesting that it made things, look at these words of power. 123 PAGE. A spiral. When you go out to the ocean and look at the shells you will see the spiral force, when you watch waves of energy you will see the spiral force, when you look at your fingerprint you will see the spiral force, all the way to the S-whirl in your head you will see a spiral force. It's safe to say our Creator uses a spiral force when making things, no straight lines. Spirit, the ethereal being of consciousness. Sphere, our cellular level exists entirely of spheres. Spin, another word to describe the spiraling motion. Sul, the life force of heat, warmth, and vitality. As discussed before, the S is the primary symbol of the serpent in the English alphabet. All of these forces, like the sun, soul, and spiral, had other names that did not begin with S. It was simply motion. However, when the 70 languages were introduced across the world they all received this indoctrination of SS vibration and thus a false relation to the serpent that has permeated the subconscious mind. This mind control technique makes it easier for us to go with the story that is being told more and more, which is the serpents are our creators. A serpent has no voice box and can only whisper, thus everything they say sounds like SSSSSSS. They are sometimes called the whispering ones. A famous prayer in Islam says, Allah protect me from the whispers of Shaitan. 124 PAGE. Reason 99. Adonai is androgynous and keeps a serpent around the neck, as most all Hindu figures. Hermes, the thrice-born who is Thoth, was also androgynous. The joining of the masculine and feminine were taken to these vulgar literal levels as another deterrent from true spiritual unity. In Hindu teachings one is taught to work from the root chakra up, thus much of their teachings are based on tantrics and the manipulation of sexual energy. Many are now saying the proper ancient teaching was from the crown chakra down, thus the person escapes the traps of getting stuck in an animalistic carnal phases which often happen when lower chakras are turned on before the higher ones. This is also why many New Age leaders such as Rael are heavily into sexual expression rather than mental and spiritual enlightenment. Their doctrines are based on sexual freedom, which feels good but does not feed the original desire of enhancement. To understand these entities is to realize that the world is a lot more diverse than they are revealing to you, and we are not the only intelligent life form here by far. Here is a big example. When the United States went to the moon, which happened although not when they filmed it, the speech that was written for Neil Armstrong read thus: "One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." What is this difference between man and mankind that they must be separated? Could they be possibly alluding to something here about another race like we pointed out in Genesis? Furthermore, what kind of man leaps? Of course I know the answer, but I'll leave you to do the brain work. If you can't figure it out, read on and it will come to you. In legend, Isis is always with Anubis, a dog-faced god sent to be her protector. Nephthys, Isis's sister, is said to be a female dog also. What is also interesting about this tale were their strange relations with one another. It is said that Osiris mated with Nephthys by accident, birthing Anubis. Nephthys was Isis's sister, thus connecting Isis to also being part dog part serpent. The child between Osiris and Isis became Horus Horsemane / Isis did not suckle the child but instead allowed the child to suckle from Anubis the dog. Isis relocated to Byblos and wept that she could not bring Osiris back to life after he was cut into 14 pieces by his brother Set, until a certain time, since the 14 pieces signified the 14 phases of strength of the moon. The story continues, it was during one of these crying sessions that a woman named Astarte appeared to her from the court of the goddess. Astarte is where we get the word star from. The arrangements made between these beings have always been kept a secret until now, Not to mention this whole story in completely allegorical. On the Masonic tracing board at the top of the middle pillar sits a seven-pointed star known as the Star of the Pleiades, also called the Seven Sisters or Seven Hathors. It becomes evident that there is actually a group of female spirits, who are immortal, that are enlisted by the goddess, who have been attempting to steer the destiny of the human race. These women are better known as the Fates. These Fates are the key women who mated with the Nephilim and produced the offspring of heroes and villains with various forms and powers. Originally the cult itself was under Apis the Bull, 125 PAGE. Thus many of these women were depicted as cow goddesses. Later that morphed into something entirely different, including them now being looked at as some spacefaring group of illuminating goddesses rather than a cult that would sacrifice a bull while the Vestal virgins bathed in the blood. How soon they try to make us forget as old forms attempt to take on new ones, but we have the records as the agents of the Most High will always dictate faithfully. Reason 100. The inside story is the initiates were betrayed by the goddess who sold them out to the serpent. As you can see by the Masonic tracing board, this stems all the way back to Mars. There is no telling the extent of what is really going on and what kind of trouble the elite have gotten us all into. Even worse, their code of silence keeps their lips sealed. 126 PAGE. Let us keep in mind men cannot bring forth child whether immaculate or through inseminations, thus the creatures that are part humanoid resulted from the union of woman and various beings. It is no doubt this was sometimes done by force. Alchemy was the title given to the art of blending elements. These elements were not always base chemicals, many were organic. The blending of plants and animals to see the results was something of a religious science in Atlantis. This is why many of the creatures have aquatic appendages. Reason 101. This may all seem a little weird now because this part of our past has been placed in the dark for obvious reasons. However, these beings deified, meaning they are worshipped and are still alive today. Many creatures were part amphibian, part beast with incredible spans of life and spiritual energy. The ocean is vast unexplored territory. One could not amass the resources to attempt to find their kingdoms, and even if they did they would never return. At the current level of human intelligence there really is no reason for other life forms to take interest in such an uneducated limited species we have been turned into. The real mystery of Atlantis is the island was submersible, it never sank, they rule from below. Undersea, Davy Jones's Locker, David and Owens. Before we get back to serious business, I will say that the human has extreme potential. I will show you how it is clear that the knowledge of who we are is being hidden. Even while writing this I can feel the doubt of the people that will read, but it will lessen as the realization sets in. This is also what symbols do on a very deep level. I have purposely embedded this novel with certain symbols that will allow you to remember who you are. Be sure to think of my definition of remembering, which is 127 PAGE. Reconnecting your various scattered members as if you were also cut into 14 pieces and had to find all of them to become whole again. Smaller in number we are, but great in mind. Reason 102. From what I have studied thus far, it is highly possible for a company like Sony to make a game that would activate and balance your entire chakra system all while you were trying to break your previous high score. It's that easy. The body has a system of various energy wheels. When they begin to oscillate, it is unexplainable the things that you can do. Laying crystals on chakra centers and going to sleep is another way to get chakras at least cleared. There is a big difference between cleared and activated chakras. When one chakra opens, even if it is the root chakra, it will be accompanied with a paranormal ability. The system can be powered up through breathing techniques such as whole body breathing. The chakras are the jewels encrusted inside our bodies. Once they began to shine again, the true splendor of the diamond body will be seen. There are certain abilities that come by default when the body is fully activated. They make oneself small in an instant. Become infinitely large at will. Defy gravity with a levitation field. Touch any object at any distance. Dive through solid ground like water. Total control over all the elements. Create and destroy matter. Instant materialization.